participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq, anyway. 75.
We're in Hyde Park with Steve and Yuri, and they've stopped. Steve's wearing the banner, and I've stopped them to ask them a few questions. Now tell me, Steve, can we start with you?
Sure.
When did you first become aware of Julian?
Way back.
Way back?
Oh, well, way before Ecuador, the Ecuadorian embassy.
Okay.
My wife and I have been following him and WikiLeaks, etc. for many years, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we go way back.
Become aware of Julian Assange?
I must have heard about him years ago, but it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago when I first saw this that I decided to look into it a lot more and actually research him.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you saw our town hall gathering?
Yeah, I think it was 198th or something, like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would have been recently.
Okay, and tell me, how old are you?
16.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, you're now awake to what's going on.
Yeah.
About yourself, Mohammed?
Yes, thanks. Originally, I'm from Iraq, so I came here when I was 6 years old. I came here with my family escaping war, and we actually came on a boat. We went through Malaysia and Indonesia, and it's a pretty interesting story. We got caught a couple of times, and we had to really kind of try to get ourselves over here because we had nowhere to go. If we went back to Iraq, Saddam Hussein was against anyone who left the army, and my father was in the army. So when I saw what you guys doing about Assange, one of the main reasons why, the injustice that was happening in Iraq with the 2003 invasion of Iraq was because of Julian Assange shedding light on what was happening there. And we knew what was going on. As Iraqis, we have families over there, and they were telling us what was happening and the wrongdoings of the governments that was happening, but the people didn't know. And if it wasn't for Assange, if it wasn't for him shedding light with the videos that they released, the world will still not know about what happened in Iraq. What happened in Iraq was it was a huge injustice. We are paying for that now. He created a vacuum that then resulted in factions and having basically a battlefield for other countries. The whole Middle East is destabilized because of that. How do we consider ourselves as a country in Australia? And now I'm an Australian citizen. I've been here for 23 years plus. I have a child on the way. I've got my first boy. And when I start thinking about the country we want to live in, do we want a country where there is no free press? This is what we ran away from. We came to this country running away because we couldn't voice our concerns. And when we did, we were threatened. And that's why we came here. And now you're telling me one of our own people is stuck for some arbitrary reasons, simply because he voiced against a superpower. He said this against a superpower. Now we have our own problems in Australia with other superpowers that are close by, but if anyone else said anything about that superpower, would it be wrong for them to take them away? Would it be wrong for other superpowers to take one of our own away? Why is it okay for Julian Assange to be taken away for what he did? He shed a light. Isn't that what we consider our freedom? We are having a big conversation now about the voice and about our constitution. One of our main reasons of our constitution is free press. So we really need to make sure we really need to make sure we are true to ourselves with what we want to be. You know, in the Quran it says the hypocrites are the lowest of the hellfire. We cannot be hypocrites. We have to stand. Are we going to stand with the right of history? Or are we going to stand with the wrong? If you look at our history as human beings from the 1900s until now, we had World War I and World War II and what happened to the Jews. We all consider that to be wrong now as we look back at it. But there were people at the time that were okay with what would happen then. And now in 100 years, when people look back at us and they look at the story of Assange, what are they going to say? What are they going to say about what happened there? So I wanted to stop by. I wanted to say thanks for what you guys are doing. You know, it's incredible to be able to see human beings are coming out, taking time to actually come out and talk about this person. This is equal injustice. Every time I see it on the news, it hurts my heart. That's why I stopped, because I look at it and I'm like, how do we consider ourselves as a country to support freedom, and when we're one of our own? You know, even if it wasn't one of our own, we should be calling for it. But as an Australian citizen, still remaining on by, and if this 2 cents can help, you know, get Assange back, I would love that.
No, it's a fabulous story. Mohammed, thank you so much for stopping.
It's my pleasure.
Really.
My pleasure. Thank you for your work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Georgia, are you a critical thinker too?
I like to think I am. I think it's really important to get your news from reputable sources. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think it can be really challenging for people to try and navigate through the media at the moment to try and find the truth or the facts.
Vanessa, lovely to meet you. Now, look, I was talking to you earlier about your association with Julian Assange and his mother. I'd love for you to just run through that story a little bit with us to sort of start the conversation going.
All right. Well, I moved to Lismore probably when I was about 6 or 7, where my mother met Julian's mother, Christine. She used to have a beautiful puppet shop on Terania Street in Lismore. He then became a very quick and fast friend of my brother's.
I salute these brave men and women, and I salute journalists and publications that have covered what continues to happen to these people, and to journalists who continue publishing the truth in face of persecution, prosecution and threat, who take journalism and publishing seriously.